They scurry through the shadows of our cities, slipping between walls, lurking beneath our streets, and sometimes right beneath our noses. Rats, for many, just the thought is enough to cause a shudder. But behind the twitching whiskers and beady eyes lies a species that's not just a nuisance, it's a global invader. From New York's subway tunnels to London's back alleys and the rice fields of Southeast Asia, rats have followed humanity's every step. They are survivors, stowaways, and saboteurs, adapting, multiplying, and thriving in the very environments we build. But how did these small rodents become one of the most destructive invasive animals on the planet? Over the next 10 minutes, we'll uncover their hidden world, their biology, behavior, and the devastating mark they leave on ecosystems, economies, and human health. Rats didn't start out as global invaders. Their story begins in the dense forests and grasslands of Asia, where species like the black rat Rattus rattus and the brown rat Rattus norvegicus first evolved. But it wasn't long before they hitched a ride, not on purpose, of course, but hidden in the cargo holds of ships, in food supplies, and even inside travelers' luggage. By the time of the Roman Empire, black rats had already made their way across the Mediterranean. Later, during the Age of Exploration, brown rats joined the journey, spreading from Europe to the Americas, Africa, and beyond. With every ship that docked, a new colony of rats was born. Why did they spread so successfully? The answer is simple. Wherever humans go, rats thrive. Our homes offer warmth, our garbage offers food, and our cities offer shelter. They're not just following us, they're using us. And in many ways, we unknowingly built the perfect world for them to flourish. By the 19th century, rats were no longer just pests, they were everywhere. From the trenches of World War I to the sewers of Paris and the fields of rural America, they became an inseparable part of the modern human landscape. And with their arrival came trouble, damaged crops, contaminated food, and something far more sinister, disease. What makes rats so hard to stop? It begins with biology. Rats are small, fast, and astonishingly flexible. A fully grown adult can squeeze through a hole the size of a coin. Their whiskers detect air movements, their sharp teeth, harder than copper, never stop growing. That's why they gnaw on wood, plastic, concrete, even metal, just to keep them filed down. But it's not just their physical design, it's their minds. Rats are cautious, intelligent, and adaptable. They can learn to avoid traps, memorize complex mazes, and even recognize patterns in human behavior. They live in groups, communicate with ultrasonic squeaks, and work together to forage and defend territory. Their reproductive power, alarming. A female rat can give birth to 6 to 12 pups every few weeks. In ideal conditions, a single pair of rats can multiply into over 1,000 individuals in just a single year. They're also excellent swimmers, climbers, and burrowers, capable of nesting in walls, ceilings, sewers, and subway systems. Cities like New York, London, and Paris have all waged decades-long battles against them. And here's the kicker, you may never see them. Rats are mostly nocturnal, hiding during the day and emerging when we sleep. But when you do see one, it's often a sign there are many, many more. They may be small, but the destruction they leave behind is massive. In natural ecosystems, invasive rat populations are silent killers. On remote islands, rats have pushed native bird species to the brink of extinction. They climb trees, invade nests, and devour eggs and hatchlings. Entire populations of seabirds and ground nesting birds, gone, often without a sound. In agriculture, they are relentless. Rats destroy crops before they can be harvested: rice, corn, wheat, fruits, and vegetables. They chew irrigation lines, feed bins, and grain silos. In many developing countries, rats consume up to 15% of the annual grain supply, enough to feed millions of people. And then, there's the danger to us. Rats carry over 35 known diseases that can be transmitted to humans, directly or through fleas, ticks, and contaminated food. Leptospirosis, hantavirus, salmonella, rat bite fever, and of course, the infamous plague. While modern medicine has reduced the risk, outbreaks still occur, especially in overcrowded urban areas. In cities, rats gnaw through electrical wiring, start fires, and cause structural damage. They infiltrate sewers and subway tunnels, creating vast hidden networks under our feet. In restaurants, warehouses, and even hospitals, their presence can bring business operations to a halt, not to mention public health violations. And when disasters strike, like floods, war, or famine, rats thrive. They feed on waste, corpses, and leftovers. They breed in the ruins. They are, quite literally, the shadow of human crisis. In the balance between civilization and chaos, rats are not just passengers, they are accelerators. Our battle with rats is not new, it's ancient. In medieval Europe, rats were the harbingers of death. Alongside the fleas they carried, they spread the Black Death, a plague that wiped out nearly a third of the continent's population. Streets were silent, cities abandoned, and entire generations lost to an invisible enemy. As empires expanded, so did rats. Ships carried them across oceans, hidden among cargo and provisions. They disembarked in new lands, unseen, unnoticed, until it was too late. Rats helped make colonialism a biological invasion, devastating fragile ecosystems and local food sources from the Americas to the Pacific Islands. In the 19th and 20th centuries, industrial cities became breeding grounds. Sewers, garbage heaps, and overcrowded slums gave rats everything they needed: food, water, shelter. Urban centers like New York, London, and Paris fought back with traps, poisons, and extermination squads. The rats adapted. They grew resistant to poisons, smarter at evading traps, and more bold in seeking food. Some even developed the ability to memorize human routines, avoiding danger by learning our patterns. Governments tried everything: bounties for rat tails, national campaigns, even involving the military. In Vietnam, the French built a rat-catching task force for the sewers of Hanoi. It failed spectacularly. The rats outwitted the humans, and the program was abandoned. In today's world, the war continues, only now it's fought with data, technology, and AI. Cities use heat sensors, motion-triggered cameras, and algorithms to map infestations. Drones and smart traps are deployed in subways, warehouses, and farms, but even now, rats continue to thrive. Because in this war, one truth remains: the enemy learns, and it never sleeps. For centuries, we've tried to fight rats with brute force, traps, poison, and exterminators. But in the 21st century, our strategies are evolving. Cities like New York, Paris, and Tokyo are now deploying smart traps, equipped with sensors that detect movement, body heat, and even distinguish between rats and other animals. Some can report data in real time, sending alerts straight to pest control teams via satellite or 5G networks. Artificial intelligence is also stepping into the ring. In Chicago, a pilot program uses AI-powered cameras to identify rat hotspots by tracking patterns of garbage, human foot traffic, and even weather conditions. The goal: to predict infestations before they happen. Some cities are going green, literally. In Vancouver, officials introduced raptor boxes that attract owls and hawks to urban areas, nature's own pest control. In India and parts of Southeast Asia, trained ferrets, snakes, and even dogs are deployed in tight spaces to chase rats out from hiding. Biological control is another frontier. Scientists are experimenting with sterilization agents, chemicals, or genetic tools that make rats infertile, reducing populations gradually without killing. These methods aim to be more humane, more environmentally friendly, and less likely to trigger resistance. But not all efforts are high-tech. In Paris, sanitation crews are being trained to seal entry points in buildings. In Baltimore, local communities track sightings through mobile apps, creating public maps of rat activity. Citizen science meets test control. Still, the results are mixed. In some cities, infestations are down. In others, rats are simply moving, adapting, learning, as they always have. The real question isn't just whether we can kill more rats. It's whether we can change the environment they thrive in, remove the food waste, block the access points, redesign our cities. Because for every trap we lay, for every poison we spread, the rats are watching and evolving. We've painted rats as villains, and rightfully so, in many cases. But like most creatures that thrive alongside humanity, the story isn't black and white. In the world of science, rats are pioneers. For over a century, they've served as test subjects in medicine, helping researchers understand diseases, trial new drugs, and even map the human genome. Millions of lives have been saved thanks to research conducted on lab rats. They were among the first mammals to be sent into space. They've helped scientists decode the mechanisms of memory, emotion, and addiction. In a strange twist of fate, the same animal that spreads disease also helps cure it. In the wild, rats play a role in ecosystems too. They scavenge, clean up organic waste, and serve as prey for birds of prey, snakes, and urban predators. In some regions, especially in Southeast Asia, trained rats are even used to detect landmines and tuberculosis with remarkable accuracy. In African countries like Tanzania and Mozambique, her rats have saved hundreds of lives by sniffing out hidden explosives faster and more efficiently than machines. Some indigenous cultures don't view rats as pests, but as symbols of survival, adaptability, even wisdom. And in a few societies, rats are part of the food chain, seen not as dirty, but as a sustainable protein source. So, what are rats, really? Plate bringers or unsung heroes? Parasites or partners in progress? Perhaps the answer lies not in what they are, but in how we live with them. In how our waste, our buildings, our negligence, or our innovation creates the conditions for rats to either harm or help. The line between pest and pioneer is thinner than we think, and often, we're the ones drawing it. Throughout this documentary, we followed the trail of rats, from dark alleys to bright laboratories, from filthy sewers to life-saving research facilities. We've seen them as invaders, as survivors, and surprisingly, as contributors. In many ways, rats are mirrors. They reflect the state of our cities, our hygiene, our food systems, our housing. Where infrastructure crumbles, rats rise. Where waste piles up, they flourish. And where knowledge is pursued, they quietly lend their bodies to science. The question is not whether rats should exist. They already do, in overwhelming numbers. The real question is, can we learn to manage our ecosystems in ways that reduce conflict and enhance resilience? In the West, total eradication has long been the goal, but history has shown us, poison only delays, traps only slow them down. A vacuum left by one colony is quickly filled by another. Without addressing the root causes, poor sanitation, neglected spaces, inequality, rats will always return. The future of our relationship with rats will depend not on their instincts, but on ours. And in that future, maybe, just maybe, we'll come to understand that the line between pest and partner isn't just scientific, it's deeply human.